What's up, everybody? This your boy Ben Mahari here, representing MehariNation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC and the entire, community, man. You know what I mean? It's been a while since I've done a live stream, man, and tonight we're gonna have ourselves a free conversation tonight on this channel here, guys. We're going to talk about anything that y'all want to talk about. We can talk about music, sports, news, whatever y'all want to talk about. Just make sure to keep it appropriate, and keep it civil as possible. All right. I know it's been a while since I've done a live stream, guys, and much apologies for that because I've been busy, trying to just do some shit, for my life, man, and haven't had much of the time to do any live streams, doing any or do some videos here and there and all that. But much love to you guys, what I mean, and we'll get down to it though, man. As I see Samurai Beast Warrior, what's going on, man? Rest in peace to DMX, man, and the crazy ass Omega Red in the building, the Undertaker looking ass. What's up, mommy? How you doing? Ace Santana 187. What's going on, man? How you doing? How you doing? You know, I will tell you this. You know, I've been busy, trying to figure out my life, and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's right, Omega Red, with your Undertaker looking ass. That's right. That's right. I'm gonna keep telling you that every time I see you, Mr. Undertaker. Okay, but back to what I was saying. Um, you know, I've been taking some time, trying to, to make some necessary changes in my life right now, man, and I haven't had much of a time to, to do some videos and or live scenes or whatever I wanted to. But today I just wanted to, come in here, just talk to you guys, and just discuss whatever we want to talk about. But the big story that obviously that came out today, sadly, was the untimely death of DMX, man, and you know he was one of the great MCs, man. He was one of the great, rappers during the early '90s and actually not the early '90s, the late '90s into the 2000s. I mean, Rough and Riders, Party It Up. I mean, a lot of great hits. F y'all. All that good stuff, man. And I started listening to DMX back in was it 2003, 2004. You know what I mean? And he was one of the most hardest rappers that ever came onto the scene. The one thing that I really liked about what DMX represented was that he was one of those guys that really showed a lot of his emotion when it came to his rap. You know what I mean? And a lot of the stories that came out, out of his rap music really illustrated about his life. And he was really one of those true realist, you know, rappers in the game, man. And it's really a sad, situation that unfortunately he passed away today at the age of 50, man. And but unfortunately, he was basically trying to get his life together. I mean, as most of you guys should know by now that his history, we know, with drugs and substance abuse has been pretty much in the downfall of his career, for very much a very long time. And he was trying, to keep his life together. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, he was basically battling for his life after after a drug overdose, from a heart attack. And you know, I kind of had the feeling that that he wasn't going to make it. And when they kept saying that he was basically in the vegetative state, that let you know that there was a good chance he wasn't going to make it. Even though we were keeping our hearts and prayers that he was going to make a full recovery out of it, though. But sometimes these things happen, and it's unfortunate that it happened to this man right here, because all day I've been pretty much listening to his music nonstop, man, and his music is just beautiful to listen to. You know, I will tell you this, that the things that he went through in his life really tells you a lot in his music, and yeah, thanks Omega Red, appreciate it. Mid '90s, okay, thank you. But he was really one of the true greats in the rap industry. If you had to put him in the top 10 or top 5, you could probably put him in between those, categories. He's not, unfortunately, he's not better than Tupac. He's not better than, Biggie, those two legends enough. But the thing that really that helped a lot of great rappers with is that he was the kind of person that when the passing of Tupac happened in 1996, you know, DMX pretty much helped a lot of those, fans get through that passing during that period, because because if you remember, we lost Tupac in '96, and then the next year we lost Biggie in 1997. We lost two great, you know, Hall of Fame rappers over some dumb stuff. You know what I mean? Both of them were killed, and he really helped a lot of people go through all that. You know what I mean? And he was pretty much the breed of that hardcore, rap style that is rarely even seen today in mainstream rap. You know what I mean? This guy won Grammy awards, music awards. I mean, he was selling out arenas in terms of the millions. All right, he was intersecting, both white people, white fans, and black fans, pretty much all over, not just in the United States, but all over the world. I mean, this guy was pretty much was the absolute shit at what he did. You know what I mean? And and it's very very sad to know that he's not going to be with us now, but he's in a better place. You know, and he's going to be doing whatever he wants to do with the man upstairs. You know what I mean? And he can just enjoy his afterlife now. But it's still going to be hard to know to listen to his music now and knowing that he's not going to be there anymore. So it's really going to be very, very hard. So let me check out the chat real quick. He said, Ace for Santana at 187 says, DMX is one of the greats. Absolutely. He said, them Damien songs hit harder now that he passed. Yeah, yeah. Mega Red says, DMX helped me through the Tupac passing, strangely enough. Yep. That's the thing. A lot of those Tupac fans needed something to pretty much reminisce of what Tupac's style was, and you could pretty much say that. I'm not saying that DMX was like the carbon copy of a Tupac, but you could say that his hard flow style, you know, pretty much was almost a similar concept of what DMX was about. You know what I mean? And it was really huge. You know, shocked to know that these guys were pretty much similar in terms of their style, in terms of their flow, even though both of them had each different sets of backgrounds. Ace Ventura says, storyteller. Samurai Beach Boy said, I still in shock. Big L died in 1999. Okay. Omega Red says, hard flow style. His freestyles were classic. Absolutely. Here's the other thing, though, too, about that, guys. If he decided to do the battle rap thing, I could bet you one thing that he would have crushed a lot of those dudes in those battle rap leagues. You know what I mean? And he would have really put a lot of those rappers, those so-called battle rappers, to shame for a lot of the freestyle flows that he could come up with when he was on fire. When he got his mind, when his mind was right, he could rap all sorts of crazy lyrics and just made you look like a fool. You know what I'm saying? And in one of those battle rap leagues, you know the one I'm talking about, right? The one that was it Cassidy got humiliated from. You know what I mean? I bet you one thing: if DMX had to face up against somebody that could probably measure up to his style, then I'm gonna tell you this: he would have really made a lot of those young rattle rappers look like fools, bro. I'm telling you, it really be amazing to really match into that stuff. Megared says Big L died before 1999. Okay, he said in 1999. Somebody before said I thought Ja Rule was a Tupac copy. Yeah, that's and also Ja Rule was also another combination of that. You know what I mean? I really liked Ja Rule back in the day, especially that song called "Pain Is Love." That's still one of my all-time favorite songs, especially for me when I was going through depression and anxiety issues. That song really kind of helped me out. Go through those kind of things and kind of navigate my mind mentally. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed that song, man. And oh yeah, Megarat says, you're right. I was thinking 98, but it was early 99. Okay. My brother, Terry Smoot Jr., what's going on, man? Salute, bro. Salute. He said, made a live stream. Yeah, I know. Thank you for coming in, man. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, though, too. I used to do live streams on a regular basis, but, I haven't had much time to do some because of because of, stuff I'm going on in my life. Not bad stuff, just, working, grinding, trying to trying to piece together, things that I want to do now. So, more focused on myself now than in any other period in my life. He said, "Rip to the X." Yep, absolutely, and especially the Cradle to the Grave movie back in 2002 with Gabrielle Union and Jet Li. Still one of my favorite, movies, of all time. Absolutely. My brother, Brandon Nicholson in the building. Let me tell you something. Brandon Nicholson has been one of my biggest supporters of the channel since day one, man. And I'm very happy that you're here, man. I really am, bro. He said, "We all got real life outside of YouTube. Salute to you, King." Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I don't have much time, to do my channel and all that. I would, if I had more time to invest in my channel, I would. But, my life comes first more than anything else. And, the thing that really, gets memorized when when we have a tragedy like this is that, you know, life is too short. And always take life as a blessing. You know what I mean? Never take life for granted. You know what I'm saying? And enjoy each moment and try to continue to improve it on yourself and do the things you want to do in your life that you want to fulfill before it's too late. And I really tend to believe that, at this stage of my life now, I'm trying to, do the things that I want to accomplish before eventually the man upstairs tells me it's time. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you this. DMX, he may have accomplished a lot of things in his life, as a rapper. But I think in my view, he was barely scratching the surface of what he could have been if he had not gotten if he had his drug issues, under control. You know what I mean? We all know that his history with drugs and substance abuse really, in, impeded his progress. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, the drug demons of his life, came back to bite him. And it's very, very sad, to know that he's not here with us, and that, you know, we as a people have to realize that, the drug issue is really still going on in this country, and we need to do a better job of raising more awareness of this because we've lost a lot of good people over, over drugs and substance abuse and all the other health related issues, especially during the period in the pandemic right now. You know what I mean? So let me check that out the chat real quick. He said, I'm glad to see you too. Also, he said, yes, we all have lives outside of YouTube. I'm just glad whenever you're on. Thank you, man. Absolutely. He said, never take life for granted. It's so true, too precious. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, you guys. You know, Omega Red says that's why it's so important to help and support our people. Absolutely. 100%, man. Especially during these times where, you know, it's hard enough being a black person in this country, but it's 20 times harder being a black man in this nation. You know what I mean? We get so scrutinized by every single little detail that we do. You know what I mean? And we never get the credit that we fully deserve for the resiliency and the the, the thick skin and the tough armor that we've had to endure for centuries of what we go through all the time. You know what I mean? But we continue to battle on and we continue to keep on fighting the long marathons that where we want to go. You know what I mean? And speaking of that, you know, that's what I want to talk about. This little subject in hand here, guys. So let me bring this up real quick. I'm sure y'all know this by now, but I want to discuss about the Paul Pierce, situation. You know what I'm saying? The whole Paul Pierce, situation, being fired from ESPN. As I see my brother Lou, the writer of sports. What's going on, man? Good to see you, bro. Been a minute, man. Now listen, we all know what happened to Paul Pierce, a couple of days ago, man. He was basically partying up with some women, and basically was on IG Live, with some beer, just enjoying a good time with some hoes. No problem to that whatsoever, right? Oh, the so-called cancer culture people, those idiots, had the audacity to pitch a fit and started crying over what he was doing, and then all of a sudden they basically find Paul Pierce, and then eventually, after public pressure, they basically fired the man, which exposes a lot of the same double standards that we always see all the time when it comes to not just over black men, but also the double standards when it comes to black men being portrayed in the media. You know what I mean? And when the story hit the fan, obviously I had the opportunity to listen to both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? And the other thing too was is that Paul Pierce was his own man. He just told it like it is. He's always going to be a rival of LeBron James. Y'all know that, and especially Little Rider Sports knows that. I'm not gonna say what he just said, but y'all can see it. But the thing is, though, bro, like, listen, there are a lot of things that a lot of these, people on ESPN have gotten fired for. All right, this is one of the most pettiest reasons to fire a man. All right, we're living in a time right now where we can't even have an opportunity to basically, you know, enjoy a good time with females or even just have a good time because everything is recorded, everything gets videotaped, everything gets sent down to social media where everybody wants to play keyboard warriors or revolutionary warriors and try to make it into something out of nothing. All right, and let me tell you this: salute to Paul Pierce for basically standing on his ground. He wasn't going to apologize for nothing. You know what I mean? Listen, he don't even need ESPN at this point. If he wanted to do his own podcast right now, I guarantee you there are gonna be a lot of people that would love to tune in and hear what he had to say. All right. He may not always be right, but he has no problem speaking his mind. And we need more of these kind of analysts like Paul Pierce, on these networks. All right. Especially when it comes to a lot of these joker, analysts like Kendrick Perkins, Ryan Hollins, and also Shannon Sharp. Yes, I'm putting him in there too. Don't get me started with him, okay? Although Shannon Sharp can also make a lot of good sense and has his mind right, but we all know that he's basically a LeBron James clown. But I'm not going to get into that. Listen, we got too many of these. We got too many clowns in the media that try to, bend the knee to these executives and basically these network people. All right, and what we're seeing is that we're seeing too much of a narrative being portrayed by these same media networks. Okay, see, man, I'm telling you, see, when I heard about this story, when I heard about what happened, I immediately texted one of my friends about it, and he pretty much made the point that listen, at some point we're just gonna need our own media network where we could pretty much push our own narrative. All right. But we're seeing it right now on YouTube. We already seen, other, black entities making their own YouTube channels and pushing out, all the other narratives that we've been preaching now for years. All right. But listen, at some point, you know, the media networks need to start looking at themselves in the mirrors and start regulating a lot of this other stuff, though, man. And especially, here's the other thing, though, too. Here's the other thing. This is the same network that basically allowed Stephen A. Smith to stay on the network, despite the fact that he pretty much was voicing out the correct phrase about the whole Ray Rice situation, where women are not allowed to put their hands on men and vice versa, right? But yet they suspended him for a week. Why is that? Because you got a lot of these feminists out there that were basically pitching the fit over that comment in of itself. All right, the whole liberal, progressive type of movement that ESPN wants to portray is not being shown by their actions. All right. And we got the beautiful Tay Tay Brown. Hey, Queen. Mwah. I miss you so much there coming around here, Miss Beautiful Thing. I'll be looking for that mac and cheese after when the last cheese is over with. Just wanted to say that though, but have a good night. But we got Jamil Allen, aka Jellybean 4280. What's up, man? Welcome to the channel, bro. But yeah, I'll tell you this though right now, you guys. Like, listen, this whole thing is just beyond it. Is just fake outrage to me because there's so many things out there that you have to be outraged about. Moral of the less, you know what I mean? This exposes once again like the same type of hypocrisy that a lot of these networks like ESPN and Fox Sports like to play on. You know what I mean? And Paul Pierce, you know, I wish him nothing but the best, man. He's gonna be fine. One thing's for certain, he's not gonna be broke, all right. And he was, and it's not like he was, screwing around and having sex with those hoes that he was associating himself with. He was just dancing up and having a good time. What's the issue with that? It's not like he was committing any sex crimes or anything like that, like Ben Roethlisberger was back in the day, and basically had to face a huge settlement out of it. But remember, the media wants to likes to cover that up, right? How about Marv Albert back in 1997? I'm sure a lot of you old heads know him. Remember, he was basically arrested and charged and tried for sexual assault by basically biting at a female at his hotel, right? He got fired from NBC Sports for about a couple of years, and then eventually Turner Sports brought him back in 1999, and then he was basically back to NBC Sports later on in the year, in the fall of 1999. All right. Literally, people have totally forgotten about it. But listen, that happened. All right. Remember, Jim Lampley talks about how he's against domestic violence of hitting women and all that. But yet at the same time, this was the same guy that basically beat the hell out of his wife back in 2007. All right. I'm telling you, the media plays these double standards when it comes to their black analysts because they're trying to portray black men as the heavy villains in this whole thing. And I just cannot put up with it. That's one of the reasons why I've stopped watching debate shows. I've stopped watching, ESPN shows, just watching only the sports games. That's about it. All right. Don't ask me about what I saw from Undisputed, what I saw from, you know, First Take, because I have no interest in watching those shows anymore. Their shows have become absolute garbage. And what they're doing is they're trying to confuse the casual fans by buying into the media play narratives instead of reading at the actual reporting being done and see what's happening here. Okay. And really, that's been one of the big problems that a lot of these people get confused about when they basically try to spit out these same narratives that the media tries to push out, and it's just beyond ridiculous. You cannot tell me that Paul Pierce deserved to get fired over that. All right, if he would have basically said some racial stuff or said something deeply offensive, then you know what, he deserved to get fired for that. But over that, please, bro. It's ridiculous. It's a complete double standard, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be different sides of the fence of this whole thing, but I'm on the fence of this. I'm on the fence of standing up for what's right. And at the end of the day, man, let me tell you something. Paul Pierce is going to be just fine. He can pretty much do whatever he wants, and he wasn't hurting nobody. So why are we complaining about this? To me, it's just all fake noise at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my 2 cents about that, though. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section below, whenever you want. He also said, "Don't forget about Robert Kraft." Exactly. I almost forgot about that. Good looking out. Good looking out, Lou. Exactly. Remember, Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots was soliciting prostitutes and was under FBI investigation. And what happened? The media basically forgot about that, right? What about the Seattle Seahawks? Uh, was it offensive lineman that basically beat the hell out of his black girlfriend, basically beat her completely to death. Where are the articles? Where are the segments about that guy? I forgot. Chad Wheeler. Yes, right. Chad Wheeler. Now I remember the name. Chad Wheeler, who basically beat the hell out of his black uh, girlfriend, fiance, whatever. Right? Where are the segments? Where are the video clips about how bad of a human being he is, or this guy needs to be banished from the NFL. Where are those clips and articles and all that, huh? Where is all that, huh? Yeah, nowhere to be found. Exactly, because he doesn't fit the stereotypical narrative that the media wants to push. Man, I see through all of that. I see through all of that, and you wonder why ESPN has lost a lot of viewership over the years. It's not just because of their political stances and all that. It's because of the same hypocritical double standards that they always like to play on everybody, and people are starting to recognize that, and it's becoming much more ridiculous. All right. I was disappointed that ESPN made the decision to fire this dude, but you know what? At the same time, it can be a blessing in disguise because now Paul Pierce can pretty much do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? If he wanted to start a podcast right now, I would basically, subscribe to it and listen to whatever he has to say. Even if he has a different opinion that he's wrong about something, it doesn't matter. All right, because he speaks his mind, and he's unadulterated in what he thinks. Let's see. Jamil Allen basically said Paul Pierce gets fired and Little Nas and X still get back by his label, shaking my head. Yep. Yep, you're right, man. You're right. You absolutely right. But hey, that's the double standards we go through as black men all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know it, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat know it as well. So that's just pretty much my 2 cents about that, though. So, but at this point right now, man, you know, I'm just gonna open up this conversation to everybody that wants to talk about whatever they want to. You know what I mean? I will give you a compliment about. I will give you some my insight about the Brooklyn Nets of how well they've done this season. You know what I mean? The Brooklyn Nets, man, they've really done an excellent job, of putting together a star fulfilled team. But the thing that I'm kind of concerned about the Brooklyn Nets is their interior game, particularly when it comes to their big guys. All right, they basically did some good signings by signing Lamarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, and all those guys. But if we're being honest with ourselves, Lamarcus Aldridge is basically a mid-range to a back to the basket to a face-up player. He's not much of a strong rebounder, even at his best when he was in Portland. His rebounding is not one of his biggest strengths. So the big concern is more about the rebounding and more about the defense as well. Because you're not listen, the Brooklyn Nets are one of the best scoring teams in the NBA. Okay, when you look at the Brooklyn Nets stats, okay, when you look at the Brooklyn Nets stats right now, okay, there's right now they're the top team in the Eastern Conference at this point right now. But when you basically look at the Brooklyn Nets per se in terms of their offensive stats, okay, basically as of right now, they basically in terms of overall scoring, they're the number one top scoring team in the NBA, where they average about 119 points per game. All right, they're seventh in the NBA in the average scoring margin of 4.8, fast breaks per game about 14.2, which is seventh. All right, and assist to turnover ratio 1.962. All right, this is a team that loves to score and loves to keep up with the pace, and that's kind of what happens when you have C. Nash and Mike D'Antoni as your two main coaches. All right. Now, the big concern I'm going to have is that when they go against a very good defensive team that's going to try to slow the game down, how are they going to adjust to it? And also the health issue. Now, I did see some highlights, of the Kevin Durant game and how well he performed. And, for his time when he scored 17 points, he was really efficient. You know what I mean? And he showed no ill effects of the hamstring issue. But, you know, they're very mindful about what happened back in 2019 when he had the calf injury, and basically had to miss out the conference, semifinals, the conference finals, and the NBA finals up until Game 5, until he basically pulled his basically when he ruptured his Achilles tendon and had to miss basically about almost to a full season and about half of no, not just not no the full season of 2020 up until the bubble. But now, that's going to be the big key. The other thing too that I'm going to be looking forward is how James Harden continues, his superb play. I'm going to be honest with about you about something here, guys. I think that James Harden right now is playing better basketball than at any other time in his career because he's not primarily sold basically elusive is basically he's not looking to score as much as he used to when he was in Houston when he had to basically be the scoring option when he had to basically average about 35 a game. You know what I mean? He's a much better as a playmaker. He's still averaging between 26 to 28 points per game, but his assists are up. His defense is starting to improve now. All right, he's becoming much more of the old playmaker that he was back in Oklahoma City, but better. Okay, and even though that Kyrie Irving's missed some games, because of family related stuff or whatever the stuff that he's going through, I mean, he's still at this stage right now. It's funny. You people want to crap on Kyrie Irving all the time, but right now you look at Kyrie what he's done this year, almost to 28 points per game. Like, what are we talking about here, guys? Like, literally, what are we talking about here? All right. Yeah, he could be a bit of a pain in the neck, but when he's giving you 28 points per game, you could deal with a lot of the stuff that he does. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. You know what I mean? Let's see what the chat's got to say. Omega Red says Harden's not playing the same way. He's enjoying himself, like when KD went for to Golden State. That's deadly. Same with Kyrie. Absolutely. Brandon Nicholson says, I'm curious to see how a healthy Nets team match up against a healthy Lakers team. That's going to be a huge, that's going to be the matchup that's the NBA is going to try to, promote. Listen, it's pretty much wide open knowledge at this point that it's going to be either the Nets versus the Lakers in the NBA Finals until proven otherwise. All right. I like Phoenix. They've been a great story this year, but they don't have the necessary, personnel to beat the Lakers. I like the Jazz in terms of their defensive, prowess, especially with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. We're being honest with ourselves. They're not basically the guys like LeBron James and AD are. All right. And the Clippers are always going to be in the mix, but you can't really trust the Clippers because they're always going to find a way to F it up during the postseason. All right. You can't trust Paul George, and there's still some question about Kawhi Leonard. All right. Even though Kawhi Leonard's been having another, spectacular season. You know what I mean? Can he really step it up in big time moments again when he was winning those championships? We'll see. And can he stay committed to playing, fully in the postseason? That we're gonna see. Okay. And the other big two story about this whole situation is, you know, Kawhi Leonard's gonna be a free agent once again. All right. The real question is where he's gonna go next. Now, I've heard some speculations about him possibly joining the Miami Heat. I don't know if that's legit or not. If he wants to join the Miami Heat with that roster, with Jimmy Butler and with Gordon Dragic and Duncan Robinson and those guys, whew, we'll see. It will be very, very interesting. Omega Red says a healthy Nets team can rotate and wear down a healthy Lakers team. Right, exactly. And listen, the Andre Drummond, signing is not going to solve their problems entirely. All right. Listen, Andre Drummond can get you rebounds, but he's not the volume scorer in the post like basically like what DeMarcus Cousins could be. You know what I mean? And also what a Joel Embiid does, right? And another thing about Philadelphia too, as I drink my water, I've been very impressed with the Philadelphia 76ers this year, especially from Joel Embiid. You know, when he was when he was healthy, when he's healthy and when his mind is focused on basketball, he is perhaps one of the best centers in the NBA. And was putting up MVP caliber numbers, mid early on in the season. And then obviously hit the injury bug and basically slowed his MVP progress down. But let me tell you something. Joel Embiid is having his best year of his career by far. All right. And I think what was really, the big key in all of this is that when Ben Simmons was missing some time due to his injuries, the team basically revolved around the talents of Joel Embiid, and the team actually was starting to win, and they were playing much better because they knew that their go-to guy was going to be Joel Embiid. They didn't have to worry about Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid was going to be taking over this, that, and the third. But we're going to see come to the postseason what they can do, especially against either the Bucks or when they have to go up against the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. We'll definitely see about that. You know what I mean? Hey, what's my name's Lame says salute. I haven't seen you on Chicken Channel for a while. Yeah, man. I know you just came in, but I just been busy with work, and busy with other shit in my life. My life, not that's not always a problem on YouTube though, bro. But I'm always gonna check out Ticket whenever I got the chance, man. But I pretty much have been busy with other stuff in my life, man. But to, t- to tell you the truth, bro, what I mean. He's always gonna be, my homie no matter what. Same with LVZ, same with Lamont Lane. Those guys, they're always gonna be my homies no matter what. I don't have a beef with neither of them dudes. They're always gonna always have a good place in my heart, man. Little Writer Bar says, "You mean Andre Drummond, aka Kareem Abdullah?" Oh man. I think tickets might have started that one though, bro. But I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna let him do that. But that's not me, bro. Listen. He's no Kareem, guys. Calm down, you guys. All right. You don't have to worry about what the so-called Laker fans have to say you know about the addition of Andre Drummond. He may help them in terms of their rebounding, but he's not a post player. He's not volume scorer, and he's a horrible free throw shooter. So you can't really say that. So it's all good, man. All good. He said another team that I'm looking is Denver, a team with a lot of size and talent. Man, let me tell you something. Nikola Jokic, he might be the front runner for MVP this year. And let me tell you something. Nikola Jokic, he may not be the most athletically, dominant center, but he plays the game with a skill assets, and basically he can outsmart you on that block, man. That guy is just an absolute beast. Real talk, man. He said, "Word, the Nets are like Alabama or Clemson in college football. They can rotate and tire their opponents. I mean, KG off on the bench is a crazy mental strategy that messed teams up." Oh, and also we got the homie Hitman X in the building. What's going on, Hitman X? Hey, we were just talking about your Phoenix Suns, though, bro. They've had a great year, man, but I don't know if they're gonna have a chance against either the Nuggets or the Lakers or the Jazz in the postseason, bro. But they've had, you know, a really, really a fantastic, run this year. For real talk, man. You say Omega Red, that's big fast. You know what I'm saying? He said Dane Dow deserves some most. Yeah, bro. Damian Lillard. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that what Damian Lillard's been able to do, consistently for the Portland Trailblazers has been phenomenal. The fact that he has not had any MVP votes is a crime of itself, man. But he's still averaging 29 a game. You know what I mean? He's helping lead the Portland Trailblazers. He's helping lead the Blazers right now in sixth in the West right now. All right. He's really been pretty much the guy carrying the load for the Blazers all these years, man. So I do believe he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. I just think that the class this year is going to be a little bit tougher. You know what I mean? I'd probably put him at least third or fourth on the MVP voting, if it just in my opinion. But obviously, I'm not a writer, I'm not a voter, but we'll see what happens with that. Samurai Beast Warrior says the Nets can't beat the Sixers. Really? You honestly think that the Brooklyn Nets can't beat the Philadelphia 76ers? Okay, just explain to me what your logic in that observation of that is. I would like to know. Just go ahead and put it in the chat. Explain to me, why do you think the Nets can't beat the Philadelphia 76ers? I would like to hear that. Okay? Because let me tell you something. I like the Sixers. They're talented, but you cannot trust them in the postseason. All right? They're like the version of the Atlanta Braves. Talented in the regular season, but they always fall apart in the postseason. That's the Sixers for you. But go ahead. He said, okay, Samurai Rose says defense. He said defense. Sixers play defense. But listen, they can play defense, but how you gonna? But even the greatest of defenses can't stop great scorers like Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. No offense, bro. I'm not trashing your opinion, but listen, you're gonna have to really outscore against the Brooklyn Nets. They're not gonna let you play a defensive, slow down game. With the Sixers are gonna try to implement that strategy. It's just not gonna work. All right, you could try to do that, but then when it goes down to it, that Nets can really simply throw the ball to Kevin Durant and let him score, right? Or even let James Harden break down the defense. Because listen, you have to stop the penetration of both James Harden and Kyrie Irving, and that's easier said than done. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trashing your opinion, bro, but that's a long, long stretch. To if we're being honest with ourselves, all right. He said, "What happened to the Phoenix Suns? They were played like the next. That's why they failed." Well, listen, the San Antonio Spurs were pretty much a juggernaut. All right, we're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers of today. The San Antonio Spurs were a juggernaut, led by Tim Duncan, a prime Tony Parker, and a primed Manu Ginobili. All right, and a good, excellent defender and Bruce Bowen. And then he came off your bench. You had Robert Horry making threes. You know what I mean? You're talking about a juggernaut that was pretty much entering their peak. That's a totally different conversation. But I do understand where you're coming from. That D'Antoni's type of system hasn't won a championship, right? I agree. I'm not dismissing that at all. I think that Mike D'Antoni will forever go down as one of the greatest offensive minds in the game. But when it came down to his entire philosophy of coaching, coaching both sides of the ball, he's going to be remembered a lot more about his lack of defensive capabilities and coaching than about his offense. We all know that. What I mean? But listen, between the Sixers and the Nets, bro, the Nets will blitz through the Sixers in 5 games. I'll rest assured on that. If they pull off an upset against the Nets in the playoffs, I will be shocked as hell. But I don't think that's going to happen. Like, you're going against three All Stars. Two of them already have championship rings. One is looking for its first. All right, so it's a tall order. I'll just put it like that. It's pretty much a tall order. But let me know what y'all think, man. Keep putting some more answers in the chat. Let me know what y'all keep that though, man. I gotta get my water real quick. There you go. Let me get some water real quick to throw up my throat. But yeah, I really like discussing basketball more than I say boxing. Do you know what I mean? Because boxing to me right now is just at a bad place, man, and it's just gotten real boring. Okay, Samurai Beast Warrior says, I'm not sold on a Mike D'Antoni team. I'm not sold on the Mike D'Antoni team. Right. I agree. But here's the thing. The difference of this team is that you can't double team off of anybody because you got 3 stars on your team that can all score 20 or 30 points a game. So that's gonna be a huge. What are you gonna take away? And remember, you're gonna be surrounded by shooters too. With Joe Harris coming off the bench, you know what I mean? With also other guys coming off the bench there too. Let me pull up the roster real quick. Current roster at this point right here. There you go, my man. Okay, you got James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, the main stars. All right, listen, you still got Joe Harris, who's still one of the most elite shooters in the NBA. All right, you still got Jeff Green. You still got Spencer Dinwiddie, even though he's on the injured list right now. But when Spencer Dinwiddie, gets healthy again, I'm telling you, the Brooklyn Nets, man, they're gonna pretty much be a bigger time problem. How are you going to, counter the offenses they're gonna put out there? All right, Rand said Landry Shamlin. Oh yeah. Thank you. Yep. And Luda Rider Horse says George can light you up from three. Right. Joe Harris, bro, is one of the best spot up shooters in the game. All right. You can't double off of this dude. He's going to burn you from outside. The shooting that they have, and all right, the versatility that the Brooklyn Nets can beat you with, they're going to create problems. I'm telling you. He said, but defense can stop all that offense. Yeah. I'm from the old school for defense with James. I agree. No. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not dismissing that at all. I get it. Me too. I'm from that as well. But again, you're asking to try to shut down 3 all-time great scorers. All right. You're not going to shut down entirely, 3 great scorers. You can limit them somewhat, but you're going to have to give up something in the grand scheme of things. All right. Are you going to give up, KD and let James Harden get off, or let KD get off, or you're gonna let Kyrie get off? You know what I mean? Those are the things you have to strategize about, and it's not easy to strategize that at all. Abs- I do agree about the whole defensive thing. But remember, the NBA has made it clear about they wanted to rid themselves of defense. So there's not much you could do in terms of actual defense where you can't even touch anybody. Even if you just basically blow somebody's breath, they're gonna call that a foul. It's just sad how the game has pretty much changed. But I wanted to touch about something that Ray Allen talked about. I think it was weeks ago, where he talked about how he doesn't watch today's basketball anymore because the game is pretty much been pretty much been become a bore fest. I think something along the lines that. So I don't know what he actually said per word, but I understand where Ray Allen's coming from in the sense that I'm gonna confess something to you guys. Okay, I haven't watched that much NBA basketball. Only just the highlights and the final scores and the stat sheet. But if you ask me to watch a full game, I probably would most likely fall asleep. What I mean, until at least the fourth quarter. And the reason is that the game right now at this stage is more predicated towards a backcourt and point guard type of play, right? But the revolution of this 3-point shot It's made it more like it's become much more of a bigger problem now because now teams and a lot more players are more primarily shooting threes than figuring out just taking the open shot, right? But the other problem is that ever since the NBA has taken out the defensive rules, all right, it's been limiting defenses, it's become much more harder to play defense now, where you have to literally use foot movement instead of using your hands or your body to make the offensive player go where you want him to go, towards his weaknesses instead of the offensive player dictating what the defense is going to do. You know what I mean? And it's been pretty much an ongoing problem for a long time. But I hear this all the time, and what I hear about it is that the NBA has been basically taking these rules in this decade. No, they've been doing that for a long time. It's just been a build-up process. They took away hand checking in round 94. They took away zone defenses until they briefly brought it back, and then they took it away again. They took away the bumps and the physicalness of defenses during the mid 2000s, right? That's how Steve Nash was able to win both of his MVP awards, controversially, okay, over Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. But the other problem I'm noticing is that there's not much diversity in terms of the offensive game now. Most players right now are primarily shooting threes, going for dunks and layups. There's no emphasis of using the mid range game, using the post game, or just using the other key components of your offense now, because now it's more of a open court type of game. You know what I mean? And because of how defense is so restricted now, it's becoming much more difficult to play defense, and that's why I get so disgusted when I see games that have already been over 100 points. We're like, these guys can't do anything about it because the NBA is not promoting defense anymore, and it's a problem. And if this kind of problem continues on, you're going to see a lot more loyal fans. You know what I mean? They've been watching the games. Have been since the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. They're going to start losing more interest in watching basketball at this point. You know what I mean? It just is what it is at this point. Omega Red says that, but the defense is not restricted. If you look like you touch someone, it's a foul, right? Or even if you burp somebody, they call it a foul. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Somebody people say the Lakers already beat the Nets before in the NBA Finals. They could do it again, bro. That was a totally different time with Shaq and Kobe against an underwhelmed Nets team led by Jason Kidd. Come on, man. That does not make any sense. Come on, homie. Little Rider Sports says Zach scored 50 and the Bulls still lose. Bruh, let me tell you something, all right? I love my Bulls with all my heart. But until Jerry Reinsdorf is out of the owner's chair, the Bulls ain't going nowhere. Sorry. All right. Terry Smooth says, I miss that 90s defense. Right. He said, like, LOL. You say, like, it's the same teams. Right. That's us. Hey. Terry Smooth says, no hand checking, no overloading the strong side of the defense. Right. No more being physical anymore. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. What's up, Trigger Fantastic? He said, this is what they wanted. All offense, more points, and this is the outcome. Yep. That's what they wanted. They wanted to promote more offense, more scoring, to bring in more casual fans. But right now, you're basically are poisoning your loyal old fan base that has been with the NBA for a long time. If you keep this up, you know what I mean, that fan base is going to start to deteriorate. Terry Smooth Studio said this modern era of defense is so sharp. I agree. I agree. You know what I mean? It's become much more of a game where you have to use foot movement now for defense instead of actually using your hands and your actual feet or your legs to play defense. It's become that way right now. And KG even said it best now that today's offensive players are much more efficient than they were before, but because of all the other stuff that you have to put into consideration. All right. I see my brother Sean Sheldon in the building. What's good, bro? How you doing, my man? What's up? What's up? We're just in here, shooting this, shooting our conversation today. You know what I mean? Just, chopping it up. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's pretty much what Ray Allen, was basically criticizing the modern game for. You know what I mean? And now, because of what's going on right now, it's pretty much an offensive led league now, and it's not fun anymore. The games are not fun anymore, and they become boring. and I can't watch those games if I'm just going to see offense all the time. Sometimes I would love to see some defense or just guys, competing on the defensive side of the ball. But that's not the case anymore, and it's become tough. You said you're sleeping on the Heat. The Heat will upset the Nets. Bro, you know what? I'm noticing something about you, my man. You really do not like those Brooklyn Nets, man. Now you're saying that the Lakers will beat the Nets again. You know what I mean? Now you're saying that the Heat will beat the Nets. Man, listen, you know, let me tell you something. All right? Brandon Nicholson is a Miami Heat fan more than anybody else in the chat. But he'd be honest with you and tell you that you're crazy. All right, how in the hell are the Brooklyn Nets are going to lose against a Miami Heat team with, even though with all their strong defensive ratings, how are they going to be a juggernaut in the Brooklyn Nets? Come on, man, make some sense. Oh Lord have mercy, man! Oh man. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. But hey, if that's what you think, man, then hey, more power to you. But I just think you're crazy if you're thinking that the Heat are going to beat the Nets, even with Jimmy Butler. It doesn't matter, bro. Jimmy Butler, as good as a defender Jimmy Butler is, he can't. He's not three people. He can't stop Kyrie or James Harden or Kevin Durant all at once. It's physically impossible. I, Let me tell you something. I have no problem if you wanted to cheer against the Nets, no problem at all. But come on, my man, you got to use some logic. You got to use the actual logic in this situation, my man. Come on, bro. You know better. You obviously know better, my man. But yeah, that's just pretty much my 2 cents about that, though, man. But you know, uh, it's kind of tough to watch these games now because it's just pretty much a bore fest, and I can't take another bore fest. That's why I spent more time listening to more of LDBC, live streams and videos, watching old NBA, NFL, or MLB games. Oh, I gotta get to bed soon, but right. He says Sean Stone said the Nets have no challengers in the East. Well, somebody's finally made some sense for a change. My man Brandon Nicholson, who's the huge Heat fan, he says Jimmy is my boy, but if he has a bad game, the Miami Heat normally lose. Right. Just look back into the NBA Finals. All right. When Jimmy Butler had those great triple doubles, guess what? The Heat have won. But when Jimmy Butler has pretty much struggled, they've lost. All right. You're gonna have to try to figure out a way to outscore the Brooklyn Nets, and the Heat don't have the necessary firepower to go against KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. Sorry, bro. I mean that just defeats the whole purpose of your argument, my man. Come on, bro. You know better than that, my man. A lot of these people in the chat are pretty much telling you that as good as Jimmy Butler is, as good as the defensive team the Miami Heat are, all right, you're going against three dominant scores. That's not going to be easy, my man. Come on. Let's be real about something, man. Let's be real. As I see my brother, the OG, Jay Good in the building. What's going on, Jay Good, man? What is going on, my man? It's good to see you, bro. Man, I should probably do some more live streams from now on because a lot of people have been coming in, showing me some love, though, man. I'm tell you what, man, it's been a blessing, though, bro. He said that he had Trevor Reese. He said it was an animal in 2009. Bro, he was, bro, that's because he was younger, bro. But this is an older Trevor Reese. Come on, man. I see my brother, the African Skyfly Solid, in the building. What's going on, bro? He said, Chuck Fantastic says, ain't nobody out east pushing the Nets. Right. Jon Snow said, I would have given the Heat a shot if Aldridge had signed with them. Right. But that didn't happen. So sorry, Mr. Samurai Beast Warrior. No chance. Jay Good said, chillin', chillin'. That's good, bro. That's good, man. You know, I'm gonna try to, do some more group live streams with the Houston Hard Hitters in the future, man. You know, but I'm just gonna try to get into the thick of things though. But point is this. Point is, you know what I mean? The Brooklyn Nets, it's their championship to lose. If they lose this championship, if they lose this opportunity at this championship, man, the media scrutiny that this team is going to get is going to be much more brutal. Probably worse than when LeBron James wet the bed in the 2011 NBA Finals. Loser Writer Sports says graduating to the San Diego Padres for getting their first no hitter in history. Oh, really? Their first no hitter. Wow. Did not know that. Cool. Cool. Sean Stone says, Jay Good, salute, bro. Brandon Nicholson says, the only team I can see beating Brooklyn is Denver, but I'd be surprised if Denver went to the finals. Right. I don't think Denver's ready right now. I really don't, especially when they lost their top scorer, though, to the free agency. You know what I mean? And sometimes Michael Porter Jr., you know what I mean, can be very much inconsistent at times, man. You know what I mean? But picking up Aaron Gordon was pretty much a huge pickup for them. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. He said, I love how underrated Miami is. I know you do. I know you do. You like the underdog, story. And I get that, man. But but sometimes you gotta let that love for the underdog, get out the way and see, what's reality though, bro. You know what I mean? But I know you want to stick to your guns, and I had no problem with that. I'm just saying that, you just a little crazy to thinking that Miami's gonna beat Brooklyn. I just think you think you're crazy. But if they do, listen, if Miami somehow, some way beats the Brooklyn Nets, I will be back on this live stream and I will tell to Samurai Beast Warrior how wrong I was. You know what I mean? And how much of a genius you are. I will literally come back on this live stream and say that. But I'm confident that's not going to happen because Brooklyn is going to pretty much, blitz through right to Miami Heat. Maybe they give up one game, but then after that, it'll be all Miami. It'll be pretty much all Brooklyn in the conference, semifinals or in the first round. You know what I mean? Sean Soden says, I would love to see a Denver versus Utah matchup in the playoffs. That would be a classic. Two, teams that play very much different styles. You know what I mean? And also, how could I forget Jamal Murray, bro? Jamal Murray, man, he's been pretty much killing it this year, man. And he lost his mind in last year's playoffs, but he's at it again and playing at a better level than he was a year ago. So that would be very much lit, man. Brandon Nicholson says Denver versus Utah would be lit. Absolutely. He said Spoelstra is like Pat Riley. But yeah, bro, but Eric Spoelstra can only do so much with the team that he has. I'm not saying that he's a bad coach. He's pretty much one of the underrated coaches in the NBA. But I'm just saying, bro, that your little prediction for Miami is just a little bit off base. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, at this point right now, you guys, though, man, it's been pretty much a fun, discussion, though, man. And boy, I almost spent a whole hour talking about near an hour talking to you guys, man. But I really tell you this though, man. Hopefully that when the pandemic slows down, that we can at least have some fans, come back into the arenas, start watching the games again. I know they're doing this somewhat in baseball and some in the NBA arenas where they do limited attendances, but I just hope that when this whole pandemic slows down and when everything is under control, that we can have the fans back into the stands again, and hopefully we hear those loud crowds that we've been used to hearing, before the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, though, man. He said only market I have Denver is that I don't know how good Orton is with a pressure shot. Right, exactly. The African Skyfile says if you don't know Keith Van Horn or Kerry Kinners, you're not a real Nets fan. Bro, I remember those players like back in my day, bro. Keith Van Horn was a guy that was basically ahead of his time. Basically a 6'8", 6'8", 6'10", forward who can shoot the ball from outside and can score from inside. He'd be tailor made for today's NBA. Honestly. And Kerry Curtis would have had a longer career too. Remember, he had like about 5 knee surgeries in like what 6 years that pretty much could have ended his career, but he kept on coming back and had great years with the New Jersey Nets. But yeah, those Nets teams were really good in the early 2000s with Kenyon Martin, Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, Keith Van Horn, Kerry Kills, and those guys. If they had like a strong center in the middle, Instead of Todd McCullough or the agent Dikembe Mutombo the next year in 2003, they would have won a championship. Their best chance was back in 2003 against the Spurs, but they didn't take advantage, with a certain situation in that series, and they pretty much lost. You know what I mean? Louis Support said, "You just let things play out, guys." Yeah, exactly. Samurai V says Jefferson is going with LeBron to repeat. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. But we'll see. Let me tell you this: if LeBron pulls off this massive upset, beating the Brooklyn Nets for the championship, that's going to be the biggest achievement of his career, being the underdog against three superstars with a stacked team, goes in there and beats them in the finals. I mean, that would be, it would be crazy. He said, "That's why I call you the expert, bro." Appreciate it. He said, "Mahari, you hooped?" Yeah, I still hoop. Yeah, I hooped at the Special Olympic level. You see, the picture that you see right here, that was basically when I was hooping at Madison Square Garden back in 2015 during NBA All Star Weekend. You know what I mean? If you actually typed up, my name, Abel Mahari basketball, there's an ESPN video about myself there that you could check out for yourself. You know what I mean? But yeah, I played there in Madison Square Garden, and man, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, bro. It's been what, 6 years since I was at the Garden, man, and man, that was the greatest moment of my life, bro. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I actually had a near triple double in that game, in that special unified game. You know what I mean? I teamed up with Tamika Catchings, Dale Curry, and Chris Mullen as our unified partners, right? And man, it was a blast, bro. I had about 10 points, 6 rebounds, and actually no, 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. I was actually, working towards a triple double, but I was playing on limited minutes. But I did pretty well in that game. I was playing a good overall, a good all around game. You know what I mean? Just being a team player and taking the scoring opportunities they were there. They were when they were there. I did hit 2 NBA 3-pointers too, so I'm pretty much proud of myself for that. You know what I mean? Say, are you He said, if the Lakers had managed to upset the Nets, prepare for the barrage of MJ with LeBron comparisons. Man, we've been dealing with those comparisons for about years, bro. I mean, it's never gonna stop. Those comparisons are never gonna stop. It's like apples and oranges in these conversations. Some people like apples, some people like oranges. I like Michael Jordan. Some people like LeBron James. I mean, it's a nonstop debate that's going to continue long into the night. Oh, what's up, big man? He said, "Are you Ethiopian or Eritrean?" Well, I'll give you the answer. I'm Eritrean American, Mr. Big Man. You know what I mean? Samurai Breeze Ward said the Knicks need to get past Miami first before they're talking about NBA finals. All right, all right. I have no problem. No beef with that. Okay. But I'm just saying, if the listen, the Heat have to get to Brooklyn before we can have that conversation. You know what I mean? He said, "I like Kobe Bryant." Oh yeah, and also there's the talks between Kobe versus Michael versus LeBron are going to continue for centuries. People are just going to have different sides of the argument about it, but it just is what it is. But if we're just talking about basketball, we're not taking this any other way. You know what I mean? He said he's big man says balling 100. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm Eritrean, man. That's basically what my ethnicity is. The funny thing about Ethiopians and Eritreans is that we're basically have the same culture. We're basically alike with each other. You know what I mean? It's just that, the politics and all the other stuff, we're just different. We different in that. You know what I mean? But I love me some Ethiopians, man, and my people too, and the Somalis as well, man. You know, remember, I live in Minnesota, where basically it's the most populated Somali community in all the United States of America. All right, so trust me, I've had to learn to live with the Somalis, bro. They're very good people, man. You just got to be mindful of who you associate yourself with. The African Skyfire says, after the egg Miami laid it versus the Lakers last year, I'll never trust them again. Well, Well, Samurai beats Warriors. He's putting all the faith in Miami to beat the Nets. After Scott Fowler says he doesn't have the confidence in that. So we'll see. We'll definitely see about that. He said, I hear these LeBron MJ demands and try to ignore them. Right. Listen, you're not listen. People are going to have their different opinions about who's greater or who's better and all that. They're going to break down in terms of championships, moments, game winners, stats, legacy, all that. But at the end of the day, they're both great players at that. You know what I mean? They're both fantastic players, for the respective generations. You know what I mean? You can't turn back the clock and have them face each other at their peak. It's just physically impossible because LeBron would just be an infant at that time, while Jordan was pretty much owning the NBA. It pretty much you can't have it both ways, you guys. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it. You can't have it the way you want it. You could do it on your computer. You could do it on PS5, Xbox, on your NBA 2K games, and you could do those matchups if you want to. But you know what I mean? It's it's just a debate that's going to continue long into the night. It just is what it is. Samurai Beast Warrior says, "What if the refs do to the Nets in the finals what they did to the Sacramento?" Man, bro, can you let that go, bro? Here's my other pet peeve too. All right, the 2002 Western Conference Finals was one of my favorite, conference finals series. Yes, do I agree that the officiating was horrible? You bet your ass it was. Game 6 was pretty much the worst officiated game I ever seen in my life. But listen, that was a long time ago. All right, listen. I do believe that the NBA can't is still rigged the way they officiate a lot of them games. But that game was pretty much a disgrace beyond belief. But the bottom line is the Kings held a 3-2 lead and they had a 24-point lead in game 4 of that series and they blew that game away. Think about it. If they didn't blow that 24-point lead in game 4, the Robert Horry game winning shot, that game, they're up 3 games to 1, and they would have wrapped up the series in 5 games. But nevertheless, you still had game 7 on your home floor, and they missed. They were 16 to 30 from the free throw line the whole game, and they lost by 6 in overtime. That was the difference. Come on, man. Let's be real about that. Let that go, bro. Brandon Nicholson says, "I was just about to say that LeBron and you know and MJ are great in their own eras. That's as far as I take it. Exactly, pretty much." The African Sky File says, honestly, LeBron's Miami teams with Bosh and Ray were actually more loaded than the Nets were. I agree with. You know what? I agree with that. It says, and also I think that Heat team back then was better defensively than what Brooklyn is now. Obviously, when LeBron was a bit younger, and actually when he actually was working on the defensive side of the ball legitimately, that team was much better than I think the Brooklyn Nets are. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. Whew. Man, oh man, we've been going at this for a full hour. You know what I mean? But it's fun, man. It's fun to chop it up with you guys, man. It's really much a good time, though, man. You know. But right now, I have to get ready for work in the morning, though, guys. But it was pretty much, a fun live stream with you guys, man. Brandon Nicholson says LeBron at his peak in that years. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down for the night, though, guys. But man, it was good to be back. Good to have you guys, have this free discussion with you guys, though, man. But I'll try to put up some more videos during the weekend and maybe do another live stream tomorrow night. I don't know. I'll think about it. I see my brother Real Facts TV in the building. What's up, bro? Thank you for coming in, man. Oh, he says, "What's the cash app?" Hold on, I'm gonna pull that up real quick because it's been a while since I've checked it out. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Just real quick. I'm gonna help this out real quick. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank y'all for coming in, though, guys. For my cash app, though, guys. So I'm gonna type this in real quick. I'm gonna type it in real quick. All right, real quick. Okay. Let me check it. Let me type this in for you guys. All right, nation. There you go. That's my cash app right there. If you want to donate any money to the channel, you know what I mean. I just basically save it up, you know what I mean, and try to help, better with better production, all that stuff. Well, we'll see. But that's my cash app if you want to donate any money to the value of this channel, though. But thank y'all for tuning in, though, guys. It was pretty much fun, though, man. Make sure to support all the brothers in the LDBC, man. You know what I mean? Y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend, though, man. And I'll try to do more live streams in the future, though, man. But this was pretty much a fun live stream, bro. Y'all stay safe, stay healthy, and try not to get sick during this pandemic, man. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace.